my name is Lexi Mitchell and I'm a student here at MacMurray College. And today my final presentation is on a semester-long project working with individuals in individual therapy. And a little client introduction. My client's name was Crystal. She's 28 years old, single, Hispanic female, and she was self-referred to Grace Counseling. And her presenting issue was experiencing grief after the loss of her mother. In the intake stage, that is the first stage of the helping process, and that is the most critical stage because at this point you're building rapport with the client, and rapport is important because that is a foundation of building the professional relationship. And through this stage, we went over the consent form, which is going over the limits to confidentiality, and going through that lays down the foundation to build the professional relationship. And this gives the social worker and client to be on the same page. So some of the skills that I used in this stage is open-ended questions. So when we were going through the intake form, I asked her how she was feeling after the loss of her mother. This allows the client to elaborate on her feelings, thoughts, and gives her the platform to discuss what she wants to talk about. Since we're just getting to know each other, she can share what she feels comfortable sharing, along with interpretation, asking or saying, after she says, it's really hard after losing my mother, just being there and identifying with the client what's going on. And closed-ended question would be asking if the client has a support group or anyone that can help her through this hard time. Allows the social worker to gather more information directly. And this is another skill used, which is summarization. It's not very loud. Turn it up.
Lex, why don't you try to escape out and make sure the computer's sound is all the way up. Oh, it is.
It's all the way up.
Okay. We'll make do.
Are these speakers?
I don't know that those are hooked up, so.
Okay.
Oh, is the overhead projector sound up?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Then we'll just work with what we got. Lex, go ahead and
Sorry about that.
resume. That's all right.
Okay, so that skill that was used was summarization, which kind of sums up what was discussed in the session, and then transitions to the end of the session and prepares the client, gives her an overview of what's going to happen in future sessions.
Mm-hmm.
The next stage is assessment stage. So this part is just seeing the big picture of what is the presenting issue for the client. Just getting to know the client more and what she needs. So a couple of the questions or basic skills used was open-ended question, asking who makes up the client's family. Clarification, just asking or making sure what this client is saying is what the social worker understands. And then closed-ended question, just figuring out exactly what the client needs. In this clip, so here, going over what the client has talked about in the session and just wrapping up and making sure, see the big picture of what is going on. So intervention and treatment stage, this is where we take all the information that we've gathered from previous sessions and make a plan for how to go through with helping the client. So some basic skills I used were clarification, which is just making sure that the presenting issue is still the same issue that the client wants to discuss, because things can change and different problems could pop up. So just making sure we're still on the same page. Closing questions, asking the client specific questions so we could make realistic goals. In summarization, going over the goals and what we discussed, to focus on the relevant issues at hand, and then transition to the end of session and highlighting what will happen in the future sessions. Okay, so in this clip, I was showing information giving to the client, which was telling her that everyone experiences loss. Some people, we don't experience the same way, and it's not about forgetting what has happened, but just to integrate new things into your life to make things easier. Some evidence-based practice that I use, an article, which is from the New Normal Project, an intervention for grief and loss. It discusses some psychoeducation just to educate the client about loss and how people experience it. And then also solution-focused therapy, which recognizes that the client is the expert of their life, and it focuses on their experiences along with their strengths. And with solution-focused therapy, the client leads their own goals because they know themselves more than anyone else. They know what they need. So I think that was really important with dealing with a client with loss. Okay, the evaluation stage is the last stage of the helping process. Open-ended questions used, asking the client how she feels since this was the last session. This allows the client to elaborate on what she's feeling and thinking and how she's going to deal with things after the sessions. Close-ended questions, asking the client about the goals and how the tasks have helped her, making sure that they are effective. And then information giving, allowing the client to know that life happens, things can change, and if something were to ever happen, she could set up appointments for more therapy. In here is just wrapping up the entire session and summarizing her progress from the beginning to the end of the journey. And it's important to show that to the client so they can see from another point of view that they've made progress and that they can do this. All right, so on the reflection, 5 things I thought I'd done well. Thought I did pretty well with mirroring the client, also being attentive, listening, a warm presence. I think I did well with facial expressions and basic skills. And some things I thought I could work on are connecting more in the beginning with the client. I think that's really important. I don't feel like I did such a good job with that. Also, finding more evidence-based practice and some more articles to back up why I was doing the interventions I was doing, and working on silence and not using ums or getting caught up with my nerves. And some of my paperwork, I thought I could use some help work on too. So I think those are some things I did well and some things I could work on. Are there any comments or concerns?
I have one. For the tools that you used, thinking about, even from intake through evaluations, what were some tools like in session that you used with the clients that you found helpful for kind of the helping process?
So throughout the sessions, some tools like the consent form, that was an important tool to use because that is like a standard of what the client and the social worker expect from each other. Also, intake forms, assessment forms, getting to know the client and answering the basic questions that will help the social worker and the client to figure out a plan.
Right. Sure. Great. Anything else?
For the evaluation, did your client have an overall positive success rate with the goals that she made?
Yeah, she did. She was really happy with her progress, and she really enjoyed what she worked on. So yeah, I would say she did. Those are my references.
Okay.
Well, thank you everyone, and appreciate you all coming here. So thanks.